Hi, my name is Tan Lee,
And my name is Duong Lee.
and our topic is MVC pattern. So here's a quick overview on what MVC pattern is. So MVC is a software design pattern that consists of three fundamental parts, which are the model, view, and controller. Each of the three components is responsible for different tasks that we will go into more detail later. The main feature of MVC pattern is that it isolates the data from the controller and the view in the application. By doing so, the model does not need to depend on the controller or the view. This software design pattern is most commonly used for implementing graphical user interface and web applications such as website and dashboard.
Okay, and now I will take over this and I will show you guys how the MVC gonna work in web application, more specific ASP.NET MVC5, which is a web tool that Microsoft provides for web development.
Alright, we are in Visual Studio. What you are seeing right now is a simple web application that I built using ASP.NET. If you take a look on the left side of the screen, you can see the model, view, and the controller in our MVC pattern. There are all the components, but we are not going to focus on that right now. Alright, let's take a look on our models. Model is used to hold the data information. In our case, CTA station with station ID and station name. If we recall back to our homework 7, it's like business object. Alright, let's go to controller. Controller is used to handle the request from the user and feedback the data based on the request. As you can see, there is one method called index that returns the view with station as a parameter. What it does is that it will send this station object to view so that the user can see technically. Let's move to view. View is whatever we want the user to see in our homework 7 or homework 6 is like in GUI technically. The first line of the code will tell our view that there is a CTA station object that was sent through controller. This line of code will display the model, the station ID, and station name. So if we run this whole code, it should display the station ID and station name as is defined in our controller. And here we go. Station 1111 UIC hosted. This is just a simple implementation of MVC. There are more that we can do with MVC design pattern, and 10 will give us more details on what MVC is capable of. Back to you, 10.
So the first of the three components of MVC pattern is the model. The model main and only responsibility is to represent the data. This is where the data objects are stored and manipulated. Some examples of the data that can be represented here are Excel sheet, XML files, or a database. As stated earlier, the model is isolated from the other two components. Because of this, it does not know anything that's happening in the view or the controller. Therefore, the model is independent from the view and controller. The second component of the MVC pattern is the view. The view is generally what the user sees in an application, such as the user interface. This component is responsible for displaying the model data to the user. In addition to that, the view is responsible for how the user interacts with the application. For example, an application can have a form where the user has to input their username and password to log in their account, such as when someone trying to log into their Yahoo account to check the mail, you have to enter your email and then your password to log in. And the view is the one that handles this. So the view generally take care of this, and in most cases the view is made up with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Alright, moving on. The last component of the MVC pattern is the controller. The controller has many responsibilities within the MVC pattern. The controller's main function is to call and coordinate the necessary resources needed to perform the user action. In addition to that, the controller is responsible for management of the user input and responses. So whenever the user click on a button or enter an input into a form, the controller is the one that handles these actions. Also, in order for the view to display the data from the model, it gets the data from the controller itself. Therefore, whenever the model changes, the controller is responsible for updating the view. So after learning a little bit about each of the three components of the MVC pattern, there's many advantages for using this type of pattern. One advantage of using MVC pattern is that it is much easier to implement new features and provide maintenance for the application. This is so because the controller removes the dependency between the model and the view. By doing so, the model and the view can be made reusable without modification. Another advantage is that MVC allows simultaneous work between programmers who are on the same developing team. Since MVC is divided into three different components, and the model and view does not depend on each other, one programmer can work on the model section while another can work on the view section of the application, and by doing so, they would not be interfering with each other's work at all. And that concludes our presentation on MVC pattern. Thank you for watching.